All your favorite wrestling shows rolled into one. Welcome to the WEBookIT Podcast. Let's start the show.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the WEBookIT Podcast. This is your Tuesday night delight. That's right. It is Who's Next with NXT. And I am your host, Virgil, the current booking world champ. Appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Feel a little bit better today than I was yesterday. I actually sound a little bit like me. Yesterday, I felt like this all the way. That's why I missed out on doing the Raw Dog Monday night with Coachman. But appreciate each and every last one of you guys that tuned in to that episode with Coachman. All right, so NXT, guys, we are headed towards Deadline, and this was the go-home show for it. And there are so many things that we have to clear up and get straight as we head into Deadline. But this show didn't do much to clear a lot of that up. It looked like it wasn't the main focus was up for Deadline. Like it was just another show that they kind of planned out, do their best work with this. But we'll talk about it anyways, right? So the show opened up with Ava standing again at Deadline, took a turn, giving a short promo about why they win. Kaylani got the most heat when she spoke, and she had to try to talk over the boos. Didn't seem too thrown off by it, but the boos were so loud that they distracted her for a bit. Fatal Influence came out so JC Jane could talk some trash to everyone. Kaylani and Jordan Grace kicked off a huge brawl. This segment could have easily dragged on for way too long, but it felt well-timed and succinct. So the promos were pretty standard stuff heading into a PLE, but Jordan was definitely the standout due to the crowd's reaction. So shout out to Kaylani Jordan for making herself making herself pretty, well hated in this field. Jordan was getting so much heat, almost to the levels of one Dominic Mysterio. Like I said, well, you better could talk because the crowd just keep booing all over you. So one of those things. We'll see what happens. So next up, we have Stax and Ariana Grace. Joe Hendry and Tia Hale had a backstage segment that led to Grace and Hale having a match. Stax helped his new girlfriend get the advantage with the distraction during the first couple of minutes. Grace had the size advantage, but Hale is just as powerful, has more experience, and more speed, so it didn't feel like the David versus Goliath situation that happens sometimes in the height difference. But when Stax tried to interfere, Hendry chokeslammed him on the apron, allowing Hale to lock in the Kimura for the quick win. There wasn't much to this, but the way it played out made sense for the story they were telling. It might not be the best match of the night, but this is one of those times when short and sweet was the way to go. So shout out to Hale for picking up the win there. And her and Joe Hendry, this mega tag team that they're doing together, I like it. I do believe that it will lead to them potentially winning AAA intergender tag team gold too. So we'll see what happens with that. So next up, we got Tavion Heights versus Josh Briggs. The feud between Tavion Heights and Josh Briggs continued this week when they met for another singles bout. Heights won their last encounter, so the big man was looking for some payback. Briggs is one of those guys who has a ton of talent, the right size, and the right physical ability to do anything that WWE needs him to do. But his character is getting stale, and it feels like he needs something to change so he doesn't end up fading into the background. That being said, Heights, on the other hand, feels like someone who is just starting to put everything together. He started at the PC a little over 3 years ago and is already an exciting performer in the ring. If he can keep progressing at this rate, he should be on the main roster within a year or two tops. These two men know each other well and work well together. The fight started outside the ring before the ref even had the chance to ring the bell. They did a good job of making this feel like a grudge match between two physical ass specimen. All in all, it was a solid match that made both guys look like tough competitors. Briggs evened the score by getting the pinfall win with the huge lariat. So Briggs does take this win over Tavion Heights. A good spot moment to note. The chokeslam Briggs hit on Heights looked fantastic. Heights also sold it like he was dying, so it looked really, really good. Next up, we got Fatal Influence versus Sol Ruka, Kendall Gray, and Lola Vice. So Izzy Dame and the Culling came out to explain why they had kicked Tatum Paxley out of the group. Dame said she tried to help Paxley, but she was too stubborn to listen. Paxley appeared on the screen and said she would make Dame feel her pain at Deadline. After the break, we go to the 6-man tag team match Ava booked earlier in the show with Jane, Fallon, Henley, and Lainey Reed taking on Sol Ruka, Kendall Gray, and Lola Vice. Babyfaces worked together better in the early minutes to take control, to hit some nice high-flying moves, to take out Fatal Influence multiple times. This was a high-energy match with some fun moments, but it felt a little rushed too, which most of this stuff does because NXT is only 2 hours. So they got to try to get in as much as they can. A lot of these matches don't get enough time, which has been a constant complaint this year. They really should look to move NXT to 3 hours and shorten SmackDown and keep Raw where it is. But we'll see what happens with that. Ruka ended up pinning Jane to get the win with a nice soul snatcher. Zarya ended up trying to hit Ruka with a spear after the match, but she missed and took out Gray. This caused a huge argument between her and Ruka. Audio kept dropping out, possibly due to censoring something being yelled out to the crowd, but it ruined some of Dame's promo. Zarya told Ruka she would not be at ringside for her this time. It's starting to happen. These two are starting to turn on each other, and we've been talking about it. We've been expecting it to happen. It looks like Zarina is going to end up being the heel in this, and they're going to keep Sol Ruka the babyface, which is fine with me. Either way works, but I definitely thought that. So I would like to see the mean side of Sol Ruka, not the hippie side, but we'll see what happens. Next up, OTM versus a returning Chase U. Have not seen those guys in a long time. So Chase U hasn't been in action since October 27th. So Lucien Price and Bronco Nima finally got the chance to get their hands on Uriah Connors and Kale Dixon when they met for a tag team match this week. So Chase U surprised OTM by taking the fight to them first. They knocked both guys out of the ring and took them down with the dual suicide dives. It took a few minutes for OTM to regain their bearings, but once they did, they started to dominate. Chase U managed to make a comeback, but it was short-lived. Price and Nima hit their finishers for a quick win. Chase U looked better than expected, but the match as a whole was nothing to write home about. All right, next up, we got Dark State versus Joe Hendry, Leo Slater, and Javon Evans and Myles Bourne. So this week's main event was the big 8-man tag match with Dark State, but Ava added some stakes to the match. The person who got the win for the babyface team would get to pick their spot in the Iron Survivor match. If anyone from Dark State won, Lennox got to pick. So, as expected, this was a high-impact match with a lot of physicality. All 8 of these guys are young and hungry, so nobody wanted to be overlooked. It would be hard to pick a standout performer, but once again, Javon Evans showed you guys that he is the man in NXT. His matches are by far some of the best you see, but a close second behind him is Evan Bourne. That's hilarious. Evan Bourne has not wrestled for WWE in a long time. Myles Bourne is his matches are pretty legit too. So Bourne ended up stealing the pin for his team to get the win and earned the right to choose his spot in the Iron Survivor match, which they're really putting the charge behind Myles Bourne. So it's be quick to see what they're gonna do with them. So we'll see. But that is your episode of Who's Next with NXT. Listen, guys. Iron Survivor is going to be this weekend at Deadline. I can't wait to see those matches. And, of course, make sure you guys tune in only on Peacock to make sure that you guys watch, too. And we'll be covering it. We'll be talking about it. So, please make sure that you tune in and check it out. Until then, appreciate you guys. Keep those booking pencils